Most people know not to eat a random berry in the woods. What most people do not know is that there are trees where standing underneath one in the rain sends you to the hospital. Trees where touching the bark causes chemical burns. Trees where burning the wood permanently damages your eyesight. Every single one documented in medical literature, confirmed by toxicologists and emergency physicians worldwide. 10 trees. All real. All more dangerous than almost anyone realizes. Number 4 will genuinely stop you. Stay with me. If you are not subscribed, hit that button right now. Every week I put out content like this. Researched, specific, and built around information most people never encounter. Now, tree number 1. The first tree on this list has been called the most dangerous tree in the world by the Guinness Book of World Records. It grows on beaches, tropical, beautiful postcard beaches across the Caribbean, Central America, Florida, and the Bahamas. It looks like an ordinary shade tree, broad canopy, green leaves, small apple-like fruits scattered on the sand beneath it. Tourists walk past it every single day. Some sit beneath it. Some pick up the fruit. That tree is the manchineel, Hippomene mancinella. Every part is toxic: fruit, leaves, bark, sap, roots, and the rain that drips through its canopy. That rainwater carries leached toxins, causing severe chemical burns on any skin it contacts. Standing beneath a manchineel in rain causes blistering burns on exposed skin. Drops reaching the eyes cause temporary or permanent vision damage. The sap contains 4-bol esters, diterpene compounds triggering extreme inflammatory responses. Contact causes immediate burning, blistering, and swelling. Eye contact causes temporary blindness lasting days. The fruit looks like a small apple. Spanish colonizers named it Manzanilla de la Muerte, the little apple of death. Biting into it causes immediate burning and progressive airway swelling. Historical Caribbean accounts describe victims unable to swallow within hours. Burning the wood releases the same toxic compounds in smoke, causing eye inflammation and respiratory distress in anyone within the plume. Indigenous Carib people historically use the sap to poison arrow tips. If exposed, leave immediately. Do not touch face or eyes. Rinse skin with large amounts of fresh water for 15 minutes. Seek medical attention. No antidote exists. In Florida, manchineel grows in Everglades National Park and coastal areas. Know what it looks like before visiting. The second tree does something no other plant on this list does. It launches its seeds as projectiles, at speeds up to 150 miles per hour, with a sound loud enough to be mistaken for a gunshot. And the seeds themselves, along with every other part of this tree, contain a toxin so severe that contact with the sap causes the same category of tissue damage as the manchineel. But the explosive seed dispersal is not even the most dangerous thing about it. That tree is the sandbox tree, Hura crepitans. The sandbox tree grows from Mexico through Central America into the Amazon basin, reaching 100 feet with a trunk covered in sharp conical spines that introduce toxic compounds through puncture wounds on contact. The milky white latex sap contains hurotoxin, causing immediate burning, blistering, and swelling on skin. Eye contact causes severe inflammation and temporary blindness. Indigenous South American communities historically use the sap as a fish poison. The seed pods dry as they mature, building internal tension until exploding, fragmenting at up to 150 miles per hour in all directions for up to 300 feet. Documented eye injuries from these explosions exist in scientific literature. The explosion gives no warning. The tree earned its common name because colonizers used the unripe pods as sand containers for drying ink, before understanding the explosive maturation. Avoid standing near mature sandbox trees during dry season when pods are ripening. The third tree earned its common name not from mythology or legend, it earned it from documented use. Across parts of Madagascar and South Asia, the seeds of this tree have been used in poisoning cases for centuries, deliberately ingested, added to food, and administered without the victim's knowledge in such numbers that toxicologists working in Madagascar in the late 1980s identified it as the most common cause of fatal plant poisoning in the country. Not one of the most common causes, the most common. And it grows as an ornamental tree across Southeast Asia, the Pacific Islands, and is cultivated in tropical gardens worldwide for its beautiful white and pink flowers. That tree is the suicide tree, Cerbera mangus. The seeds contain cerberin, a cardiac glycoside disrupting the sodium-potassium pump in cardiac muscle cells and causing fatal arrhythmia. A study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found Cerbera accounted for more than half of all plant poisoning fatalities in the Mayotte region of Madagascar, with significant proportions involving homicidal poisoning where the compound was mixed into strongly flavored food to mask the bitter taste. Critically, cerberin does not appear in standard toxicology screens. Only specific laboratory testing detects it, which historically made Cerbera poisoning difficult to identify in forensic investigations. The tree looks beautiful. Large, glossy leaves, fragrant white flowers with a pink center, large mango-like fruits ripening from green to red. Nothing signals danger. Planted along roadsides and in gardens across South and Southeast Asia without any warnings. Never handle or taste the fruit in regions where this tree is common. The fourth tree does not poison you. It does not burn you. It does not explode. It drops a 22-pound cone on your head from 150 feet in the air, with no warning. That tree is the bunya pine. Araucaria bidwilli. The bunya pine is a massive conifer native to Queensland, Australia, planted in parks and public spaces worldwide, including California and Florida. Cones reach 35 centimeters in diameter and weigh up to 10 kilograms, 22 pounds, falling without warning from 150 feet when mature. The fall velocity of a 22-pound object from that height is sufficient to cause fatal head trauma. Multiple serious injuries are documented from falling bunya pine cones. Parks with mature specimens routinely close areas during cone season and erect barrier fencing. The cones give no warning. They detach and fall in silence. Avoid standing or sitting beneath the canopy during December through February in the Southern Hemisphere. Aboriginal Australians traditionally harvested the nutritious seeds by waiting at a safe distance and collecting fallen cones from the ground. The fifth tree hides its danger in the one interaction most people would never think to avoid. Working with the wood, that tree is African teak, Bichiaea plurijuga, also called Rhodesian teak or Zambezi teak. African teak grows across Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana and Namibia, prized as one of the hardest and most durable hardwoods on the continent. Used in flooring, furniture and structural timber worldwide, the wood dust from sawing, sanding and machining causes occupational asthma, severe allergic rhinitis and permanent respiratory sensitization with repeated exposure. Once sensitized, workers react to increasingly small concentrations. Even brief, low-level dust exposure triggers asthma attacks requiring medical intervention. Cases appear consistently in South African and Zimbabwean occupational health literature. The danger is not the living tree, it is working with cut wood without respiratory protection. For anyone processing African teak in Southern Africa or working with imported products worldwide, a properly fitted particulate respirator is not optional. 5 trees down, 5 more to go. And the next 5 include a tree whose sap dissolves human flesh on contact. One that releases a nerve-disrupting gas when its wood is burned, and the tree responsible for more deaths in its native region than any snake or insect. The second half of this list is the part most people never hear about. Do not go anywhere. The sixth tree on this list is technically a large shrub that reaches tree height, and it has generated more documented accounts of extreme human suffering than almost any other plant on the planet. Australian soldiers used it as a biological deterrent during World War II training exercises in Queensland. A former officer wrote that men who accidentally contacted the plant were, in his words, screaming and rolling on the ground for hours. Horses that brushed against it reportedly threw themselves off cliffs to escape the pain. A researcher at the University of Queensland described accidentally wiping his face with a herbarium specimen collected decades earlier and spending 3 weeks in documented agony. That plant is the Gympie gympie, Dendrocnide moroides, also called the stinging tree. Gympie gympie grows in rainforest clearings across Queensland and New South Wales. Every surface, leaves, stems, fruit, is covered in hollow silica-tipped needle hairs, called trichomes, nearly invisible to the naked eye. When brushed, they embed in skin and deliver moroidin, a neurotoxic bicyclic peptide that binds pain receptors and activates them continuously. Unlike most toxins where pain subsides as the compound metabolizes, moroidin persists in tissue for months to years. The needles cannot be fully removed with tweezers. Attempts with wax often break them deeper. Pain is described consistently as burning, electric, and crushing simultaneously. Cold water makes it dramatically worse. Airborne trichomes from sneezing or coughing near the plant cause severe respiratory irritation. Treatment involves wax strip extraction followed by diluted hydrochloric acid to chemically disable remaining moroidin, a procedure requiring medical personnel. The seventh tree grows in coastal zones across Southeast Asia, the Pacific, and parts of East Africa, and the interaction most likely to cause serious harm is one of the most ordinary things a person does in a garden or along a coastline. Brushing against a broken branch, or being near someone burning the wood. That tree is the milky mangrove, Excoicaria aguilocha, also called the blind-your-eye mangrove, a common name that is not metaphorical. Milky mangrove grows in mangrove forests and tidal zones across tropical Asia, the Pacific Islands, Australia and East Africa. A medium to large tree with milky white latex sap containing 4-bol ester compounds. The same class found in manchineel. Sap contact on skin causes burning, blistering and dermatitis persisting for days. Eye contact causes severe conjunctivitis and temporary blindness. The common name blind-your-eye mangrove reflects the documented frequency of eye injuries in coastal communities where the tree is common. Burning the wood releases the same toxic compounds in smoke. Coastal communities using driftwood for cooking fires have documented severe eye and respiratory reactions from accidentally burning milky mangrove. The smoke is visually indistinguishable from any other wood smoke. No warning until symptoms begin. In traditional Southeast Asian medicine, the latex was used as fish poison and in arrow poisons, reflecting long-established community knowledge of its toxicity. The eighth tree is not from a remote tropical rainforest or a distant coastal wetland. It grows across the eastern United States, across Europe where it has been widely naturalized, and in temperate regions across Asia. It may be growing within a mile of wherever you are reading this right now. It is a common, familiar-looking tree that most people walk past without a second thought, and every part of it, except the flowers, is toxic to humans and animals. That tree is black locust, Robinia pseudoacacia. Black locust is native to the Appalachian Mountains, but naturalized extensively across North America, Europe and Asia. A medium to large deciduous tree with fragrant white spring flowers, fast growth and tolerance for poor soil, Planted widely for erosion control and timber, the bark, leaves, seeds, and young shoots contain robin, a toxalbumin-inhibiting protein synthesis in cells, similar in mechanism to ricin, though significantly less potent. Ingestion causes nausea, vomiting, and weakness. Horses are specifically documented as highly sensitive. Equine poisoning cases from eating bark in winter, when other food is scarce, are well documented in veterinary literature across North America and Europe. A specific hazard for children: the flowers are non-toxic and edible, eaten in fritters across Appalachian tradition. Children who discover the edible flowers often experiment with other parts of the same tree. Bark and seeds are toxic. The wood, when dry, is non-toxic and prized for fence posts and tool handles. The ninth tree is responsible for a syndrome so specific and so severe that it has its own named medical diagnosis: Jamaican vomiting sickness. And the fruit of this tree is the national fruit of Jamaica, consumed daily by millions of people across the Caribbean. The difference between a safe meal and a medical emergency with this tree is a matter of ripeness and knowing exactly what part of the fruit is safe to eat. That tree is Bligia sapida, commonly known as ackee. Ackee is native to West Africa, introduced to Jamaica in the 18th century. The yellow arils of fully ripened, naturally opened fruit are safe, a genuine staple of Jamaican cuisine. Everything else is dangerous: the seeds, the red raffer, the pink membrane, and any aril from fruit not yet naturally opened on the tree all contain hypoglycin A and B, compounds interfering with liver fatty acid metabolism and preventing normal glucose production. The result is severe hypoglycemia, progressing to vomiting, seizures, coma, and death if untreated. Jamaican vomiting sickness has been documented since the 19th century. The Pan American Health Organization has issued regional warnings. The US FDA restricts fresh ackee import. Only canned ackee processed to remove hypoglycin is approved. Cases occur regularly from harvesting before full ripening or collecting unripe fallen fruit. Children are the most frequently affected demographic. The 10th and final tree on this list brings us to a plant whose primary toxin is classified by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as a Category B bioterrorism agent. It grows in gardens across America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. It is sold through seed catalogs as a dramatic, fast-growing tropical accent. It is cultivated at industrial scale for castor oil production on millions of acres worldwide, and its seeds contain ricin, one of the most acutely toxic substances of natural origin known to science. That plant is the castor bean tree, Ricinus communis. Ricinus communis reaches 10 to 15 feet in one growing season. Enormous star-shaped leaves in deep green or bronze red, spiky seed pods splitting open to reveal large, smooth, patterned seeds that look like polished stones. Those seeds contain ricin. Ricin penetrates cells and irreversibly blocks protein synthesis. Cells cannot produce proteins required for basic function and begin dying as that failure spreads across organ systems. No antidote exists. 2 to 4 seeds are potentially fatal to an adult. For children, less. The 1978 assassination of Bulgarian dissident Georgy Markov used a ricin-tipped umbrella mechanism in London, one of multiple documented ricin assassination cases in the past century. The CDC classifies ricin as a Category B bioterrorism agent. Commercial castor oil is safe. The refining process destroys ricin. The living seeds are not. Children are specifically drawn to the seeds because they look collectible. Multiple documented poisoning cases in children involve seeds picked up in gardens or from fallen pods on public land. Every tree on this list is real. Every danger described is documented in peer-reviewed literature, medical case reports, or verified field accounts. None of this is exaggerated for effect. The world contains plants that evolved chemical defenses over millions of years, defenses that were not designed with human curiosity in mind. Most of those plants are benign. Some of them are on this list. The difference between a dangerous encounter and a safe one is almost always the same thing: information held before the moment of contact rather than sought after it. You now have that information for 10 of the most dangerous trees on the planet. Before you go, drop a comment. Tell me which tree on this list surprised you most. I read every one. If this gave you information you did not have before, share it. One share, 10 seconds. The person you send it to may be planning a Caribbean vacation, may have a castor bean in their garden, may work with tropical timber every day. Subscribe, hit the bell, see you in the next one.